Hey now, lifelong fan Stu here, and this is Steelers Stew. Let's talk Steelers. What's up, Steeler Nation? Stu here, and we're breaking down Pittsburgh's second preseason matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another big opportunity to evaluate depth, test young talent, and check on how the roster is shaping up. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the first defensive series. Straight out the gate, Juan Thornhill, his name's coming up again. I love the way he plays. He plays fast, physical, and sets the tone early. And he did it again for this second preseason game. Also, Holcomb came to play. He looks solid straight out the gate. I still don't see any lingering effects from that serious injury that he had, which is huge for us and the inside linebacker rotation. Also, before he got injured, Nick Herbert still had that burst, still was getting after quarterback and showing why he's so valuable to the depth on the edge. Let's hope his hamstring injury is minor and that he'll be back before we know it. Now, when it came to our first offensive series, Mason Rudolph came out and unfortunately, straight out the gate, threw an interception. And let me tell you, on that particular play, the timing was off from the beginning. The center snap was low, and honestly, Mason shouldn't even have forced it. It was a shaky start to the offense. Now, on the second defensive series, we had a sighting of Keeanu Benton, and I was happy to hear that, happy to hear Benton's name. He got his hands up and batted down a pass that was going out. So he's showing some growth, and we really need him to step up this year. It's a very important year for Keeanu Benton. Now, during the second series, the pass rush was strong. We actually held them to fourth down, and they were about to kick it off, but then we received a roughing the kicker penalty, which unfortunately extended the drive for the Buccaneers. So we got to tighten up those type of penalties, those type of mistakes. But also one thing I noticed during that series is Chuck Clark seemed to be very aggressive at safety. He's very good at strong tackling in the open field, which is something we desperately need. Also, of course, Payton Wilson continued to look excellent against the run, but he did lose to a touchdown in a situation where he was covering them very well, but didn't locate the football, leading to the Buccaneers' first touchdown. So hopefully that'll be a learning moment for Payton, and the next time he'll come away the victor. So then the offense gets another opportunity, a second opportunity in the second offensive series, hopefully to make up for the mistake of the quick turnover caused by Mason Rudolph. And what I noticed out the gate for there was Broderick Jones. You know, we're watching him very closely. We know we need him to be that person that we can rely on to protect old man Rodgers. And Broderick was still looking good. He was looking good. It was actually a particular play where Mason was holding on the ball a while. Things got tight around the pocket, and Broderick had a block that sprung Mason for a run. So he continues to look strong in the run game, and I see improvement in the pass protection. So we hope that Broderick Jones continues on this peak and things get better and better because we know we need it. Kenneth Gainwell, he got a couple of runs, and he couldn't get much going. I haven't really seen much from him at the moment, but I'm not really worried about that because he comes with the resume, and I think he's going to be very beneficial to us down the stretch. So we had a stale drive, had to punt the ball. The returner was getting a good return, and fortunately for us, Christian Kuntz had a good save to stop that particular run back. But unfortunately for him, he got injured, and later we found out he's going to be out for a while now. So it was big effort on his part, but unfortunate for him that he got injured. So now we're at the third defensive series for the Steelers against the Buccaneers. And some coverage issues I saw. We had a coverage issue on fourth down across the middle. Man, wide open for the Buccaneers, miscommunication. So we gotta fix that. Understand we didn't have a lot of our starters out there, but you want to really see the depth in the those that were out there to see that they can hold it down if they need to. So it was kind of disappointing to see the miscommunication on that fourth down play where they had a wide open pass in the middle for a nice gain. So then we have Teddy Bridgewater, who's coming back from being a coach of the high school team, back in the NFL, out there slinging it. I mean, slinging it. So they continue down the field and get another touchdown in the corner of the end zone. And I think the touchdown was on McLaughlin, who was there, but the pass was right below him, and another touchdown for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So now the Steelers are down 14-0. The offense, first team offense, hasn't really done much, and it wasn't looking good for Mason Rudolph. So now this was their opportunity, and possibly his last opportunity, for this preseason game, knowing that Mason wasn't going to play the whole game, to really get something going. So now we were at the third offensive series. And Mason Rudolph came out there. They seemed to, before that, though, as far as returning the kicks, we had Caleb Johnson out there, which is good to see. Everybody wants to see the new top running back, that rookie that we just got, to see what he has. And, he has some energy. He seems to be pretty decent on the return. He had a lot of energy. Seemed to know exactly what he was doing. Didn't seem timid about what he needed to do. So that was good to see. So then as they continued on, we start to see the offense start to flow. We see Mason get a beautiful 43-yard pass to Roman Wilson. So Roman Wilson's name's still coming up, and it's all positive. He's continuing to flash. He's continuing to show that he can have that real playmaker ability, which is what we need, what we've been looking for. We know we have DK. We know we can count on for DK, but now we're seeing who else can step up to show that they can be a reliable playmaker. Okay? So a 43-yard pass from Mason Rudolph to Roman Wilson. It was beautiful. And later on in the play, in that particular series, it was a pass interference call that set the Steelers up very close to scoring opportunity. I think it was maybe around a 3 or 2. And then there was a beautiful opportunity for the I think it was Hurlman to get a pass for a touchdown, and he just dropped it. Now, I've heard some good things about Hurlman, but he just dropped it. And one thing that was noticeable to me, and I'm sure to the Steelers fans, is Frazier's snapping. He had several low snaps, so I'm hoping that gets worked out, because that can throw the timing off. That can cause all types of turnovers and mistakes. So Frazier is a wonderful center. We all know that. But he needs to work on that low snaps. It was just too many of them. But to continue on, after the Hurlman dropped the easy TD pass that he received from Mason Rudolph, later Mason was able to connect with Brandon Johnson, whose name keeps coming up. First preseason game, now this preseason game, and he cashed in with a touchdown. So now the Steelers are coming back 14-7. And again, we talked about the fact that the score isn't as important, but we just kind of running through it. And I'm not going to go through every offensive play, kind of focus on the beginning of the game, because that's when, some of the names are still out there to see what we have. But anyway, Rudolph showed good pocket presence in that particular series. In that moment, he was able to extend plays. Showed he had some, good footwork, and still kept his head up and was surveying the field, and we ended up with a touchdown. So that was definitely good to see. I'm sure that was a relief for Mason Rudolph and the offensive team to kind of end on a good note as far as that's concerned, after the first two series did not go that well. So then after that, I'm going to start to wrap it up, because I just wanted to go through the first few series when you got a lot of the potential backups and starters out there, to see what we have. But then we had some standouts that I wanted to talk about on the defense. And one of the standouts you probably already expect was Derrick Harmon. Derrick Harmon had a beautiful bull rush sack, showed nothing but power, ran straight through the offensive lineman and took him with him to sack the quarterback. That's what we want to see. That's what we need. So that was beautiful to see. Definitely what we're expecting to see a lot more of from Derrick Harmon. And then another individual that I don't think has been on the radar, but he stood out to me, was number 53, Leota. Yeah, he stepped in once Nick Herbert was sidelined with the injury. He came in and applied some solid pressure. It was noticeable pressure he was applying. So that was definitely good to see for him, Leota. So hopefully he keeps that up, and, you never know. He may, end up sticking to the roster. So that was just a name that I wanted to mention because I noticed him several times throughout the rest of the game. So, and then, of course, Skylar Thompson got in. He got in to get his reps. And, honestly, I didn't think we'd be talking about Skylar Thompson much before we started the preseason. During training camp, it was really about Aaron Rodgers, and it was about Mason Rudolph, and then it was about, the rookie. That was what we were focusing on. And unfortunately, Will Howard, that was the main focus. Yeah, Skylar was on there. Skylar Thompson was on there as, in everybody's eyes as the fourth quarterback, but we really weren't focusing on him. But when Will Howard injured his finger and was going to be out, then guess what? That was an opportunity for Skylar Thompson to get way more reps. He was able to get a lot more playing time in the first preseason and now the second preseason, and that's an opportunity for him to either stick with the Steelers, which would be still somewhat surprising, seeing that Will Howard, was just selected, and from what we're hearing, has some promise. If they stick with three quarterbacks, it'd be surprising if Skylar Thompson is one of them. But at this moment, that's not as important to him because he's getting a lot of tape put out there. He's getting a lot of time in the first preseason game and the second preseason game to put a lot of tape out there so that if he's not picked up by the Steelers, some other people are going to be calling. Because I'm not sure if they're going to be able to hide him on the practice squad. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Why? Because getting back to the game, he continued to show that he can play. He connected with Roman Wilson for a 30-yard pass, with Wilson again proving his reliability. He had had a strike or two to Scotty Miller, one of which I think bounced off his hands for an interception. But, you wouldn't blame Skylar for that. But he just showed that he is very mobile, and he did some good things. So that was good to see. Now, on the other hand, Logan Woodside, I think is fairly obvious that he's not going to be sticking around. What he's shown thus far has not been impressive at all, as far as I'm concerned. So he has a lot of work to do. So we'll continue to move on. So overall, saw some good things. A lot more mistakes and penalties compared to the first preseason game. Some more defensive notes though. Malik Harrison, steady. I liked his linebacker play. Jack Sawyer, flashed. He's real quick on his pursuit. Like what he was doing. Bennie Bishop, another name to continue to watch. He seems to be comfortable in the role he is. Now that he's been there and this is not his first rodeo. So my final thoughts is the offensive line is still showing some cohesion, some improvement, which is what we need. And the defense, it was more of a mixed bag, strong individual flashes, but in my opinion, too many communication breakdowns. But the young players like Roman Wilson, Broderick Jones, Derrick Harmon, and Caleb Johnson, they continue to impress. They continue to show things that we want to see from young players, knowing that we're going to need them to contribute this year for the Steelers. Mason Rudolph started out shaky but settled down. And Skylar, as we said, continued to show that he belongs in the conversation too. And, we can't ignore that at this point. So overall, not perfect for the Steelers, but they're still checking boxes that you want to see happen during the preseason. The depth is looking promising, and several young players are pushing hard to try to get, a roster spot. So that's it for my breakdown of Steelers versus the Buccaneers in preseason week 2. Who impressed you the most? Was it Roman Wilson, Broderick Jones, Derrick Harmon, or maybe somebody else? So if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe and share with other members of Steeler Nation. This is Stu signing off. Here we go, Steelers. Thanks for tuning in to Steelers Stew, where fandom meets just enough common sense. Hit that like button and drop your takes in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. You don't want the refs throwing a flag on you. Take care now.